Melakanamen. Hello, my baby Girkles. It is me, Girkle Prime. And today, I'm talking about my top 5 scariest experiences. So, it's gonna get really hot. And I'm sorry if the audio is quiet because I boosted it as much as I could and it's so quiet. I don't know why. So, number 5. Well, first I'll talk about how I was raised very religious, and so I sort of had some supernatural, I guess, beliefs, but now I don't know if you can tell by the way I'm talking why, but I have since kind of changed my ideology or whatever, tried to understand where I stand with the spiritual and supernatural. But I do have, of these 5 scary experiences, 3 I would consider are potentially supernatural. So we'll start with number 5. Yes, so when I was in elementary school, there was this kid that me and my friends really didn't like very much. And I think in our minds, I think he said like a racist remark to one of my like friends or something. So we decided that we were gonna curse him. And so at school, I'll just say his name was Carter. We said, "Curse Carter, curse Carter," kind of like that Pen 15 episode. And and I can't imagine what the teachers thought of all this when they would see kids cursing other students. But we would like whisper it under our breath so no one knew what we were saying. But yeah, anyway, we really did not like this kid at all. So we said, "Curse Carter, curse Carter." And then the day ended and we went home and kind of forgot about the whole thing until the next day when we came in. We sat down and we're getting ready for the day and everything, and Carter walks in and he has all these like scabs on his face, and we're like, "What's happening?" Or I think his face is probably bandaged. That's probably what it was. His face is all bandaged, and I turned to my friends and I was like, what if this is our curse? And then he got up in front of the class and said, he was like, "I fell on the treadmill and I scraped my face." And our friends were like, "This is the curse. We've cursed him." And now saying it out loud, it sounds like we didn't. That was probably a coincidence. But then, years down the line in middle school, one of my other friends had this girl. I had told him about this experience, about how we cursed a kid. And he had this girl he really didn't like. And he said, "Let's curse her." And I was not really about the occult life anymore. I hung up the pointy hat. I wasn't a witch anymore. But I was like, well, it was probably a coincidence. And so I joined him. We'll say her name was Abby. We were like, "Curse Abby, curse Abby." And he got a Sharpie and we're writing all these arcane symbols on his hand and we're tapping them. And it was kind of a joke. We were just joking. And then we went home and forgot about it. Now this is where the details get fuzzy because it's possible that this didn't even happen, but I think it might have. So the next day, we came to school. We hung out in the library, and Abby comes, and we had never even seen her in the library before, so it was like we were meant to see her that day. She came in, her face had all these like blemishes and injuries, and ever since then I never went back. And to this day, maybe I have some kind of witchy ability, I don't know. But again, that last part, it's really not that strong of a memory, so it's possible that didn't even actually happen. But it might have. It might have. Number 4. Number 4, let's see. I had a sticky note with all of them on them. I'm gonna go get it. Number 4. Okay. Alice in Wonderland syndrome. So, when I was a kid, I had what I realize now is something called Alice in Wonderland syndrome. And I feel like you might have heard of this because I feel like it was trending or something recent, like a while ago. I feel like I saw it everywhere. But basically, it's apparently this type of like migraine, but it like causes some weird like hallucinations or some weird sensations. So basically, when I was a kid laying in bed, I would get this sudden feeling, and it would happen when I looked in the corners of my room. I felt like my room was getting bigger and bigger around me. I felt like the room was expanding. And at the same time, like I would grab my blanket and I felt like my hands were small, and I would grab my blanket and it was like stretching my hands. And all the while, I would hear this woman's voice, and it sounded really angry, and her voice would get louder, and then it would get quieter, and then it would get louder, and it would get quieter. And I knew I wasn't really hearing a woman's voice. It was like a sensation of a voice. I felt like I was hearing a voice, if that makes any sense. I don't even know how to explain that else. But it was really scary, and it would kind of creep into my dreams. Like, I remember this dream I had of like this evil disembodied voice of a woman who was really angry at me, made me do all these weird meaningless tasks. Like she made me stack like thousands of oranges into a pyramid. And it took a long time, and it was, listen, this was really scary for a 7-year-old to experience, okay? It was a nightmare. It was scary. And this Alice in Wonderland syndrome ended when I was like 12, and it happened to me, and I went into my parents' room, and I was sleeping in my parents' bed because I was scared. Listen, I know 12 is a little old for that, but I was scared, okay? And you know in Smash Bros, when you get a critical hit on someone and it sends them flying across the stage, and like they die immediately, and it goes and it goes game. For some reason that happened to my mind, and it was like I was doing that to this disembodied woman's voice. And I never had Alice in Wonderland syndrome again, so whatever that was, it worked. Okay, number 3. So, when I was probably like 14 or 15, I was in Boy Scouts. Now, I didn't really like Boy Scouts, I'll be honest, but they had these, like, every so often they would have these weekend sleepovers, and we went to this place, and it was just barren. It wasn't even like a nice looking place. It was just sagebrush everywhere, and I don't even know why that was the locale. It was just like in the middle of the desert, really uninteresting. Anyways, also it was like February and freezing, and that is an important part of the story. So remember that it's cold. In fact, it was snowy. Camping in the snow in the middle of the desert. No pretty scenery whatsoever. Really just not fun. Let's be honest, it was not fun. And anyway, so we were kind of okay, my me and a couple friends were in one tent, and other kids in the Boy Scouts were in the other, and we were kind of joking with them. We were like doing hand puppets, and it would kind of like cast light into the other tent, and we were just kind of messing around. But eventually that toned down. Like the tents stopped pranking each other and stuff. At least I think that's how it went. And then what happened next was, I think we were kind of getting ready to sleep, and we're in this like what is it, like, I don't know the material, like vinyl? Why is that coming? I don't know if that's the right word. I don't think so. That's obviously not the right word. Anyway, whatever tents are made of, like plastic, I don't know. You could see someone's hand. Someone put their hand and they dragged it across the tent, the side of the tent. And they did it on all sides, surrounding us. And we're like, get out of here. We thought it was the other tent. We were like, quit this prank, go to bed. We're done. And eventually it ended. We went to sleep. But we woke up. For some reason, the other tent, like, in the middle of the night, they made a fire, and they're like up at 3 a.m. Just joking around, I guess. And we're like, what are you guys doing up? And so our tent got up, and we went out, and I looked on the sides of our tent where, this person's hand dragged. And I was like, because I was gonna see, if I could tell what shoes they were by the footprints. There were no footprints in the snow. There were no footprints. It was a disembodied hand. It must have been number 4. No, number 2. Okay, hypnagogic hallucinations. This is a current experience to this day. So when I'm half asleep, I will like have these weird hallucinations, and they will freak me out so bad, and it will be like the dumbest thing. Like I'll look to like my dresser or something, and there will be like a toy train just like flying through the air. I don't know how else to explain it. It would be the dumbest, like not even scary thing, but I would be 100% convinced that what I was seeing was reality, and I'd be like, what is life? My understanding of life is just gone. Like I would look by my window and like I could see something there. Like sometimes it would just be random inanimate objects, like literally anything, like a mushroom, or sometimes it would be like a person. I swear someone's person's head is like by the window, and it always scares me so bad. I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand. I can't even imagine what it's like to be like schizophrenic and that kind of stuff happens during the day when you're not expecting it. That must be really scary. Number 1. This is the scariest experience, and I have no explanation for it. And it happened in this exact spot where I lay, or where I sit, in this exact basement. So when I was probably, oh man, I think 11 or 12, we were moving stuff. I think we were moving someone's room. And so we were moving like books and clothes from down here to up there. And I moved, so my entire family was home and every one of us was moving stuff. But I came down here alone to bring something up. And I was going and I was getting a book or something to bring up, and I'm scared now. I don't like talking about this story because I genuinely have no explanation. I'm scared that speaking it makes it true, which I guess it does. I don't know. But I heard this creak from the, like a really loud creaking sound from the room across from me right now, and I thought it was my sister, and so I yelled my sister's name, but like I felt the creeps, like I don't know what was going on, but I felt really creeped out. And then I heard my name, like a really raspy Girkle. Girkle's not my name, but my real name. And I freaked out, and I ran up the stairs so fast. And again, we were really religious, and so I was like convinced that like something satanic got in our home. My dad had to like bless the house or whatever. And I genuinely just don't have an explanation. Like, unless it's normal to just have one random like hallucination during the day and just never happen again. I genuinely don't know. And like, again, like I'm in a new place in my life where I'm like having new philosophy and stuff. I have new feelings of spirituality and supernatural. I just have no explanation. Actually. So those were my top 5 scary experiences. Sorry if I kind of ramble. I'm not very good at talking, I guess. But yeah, that was freaking scary, that first one. Yeah, 2 of those, the Alice in Wonderland syndrome and the hypnagogic hallucinations. I mean, those are just like conditions, but the other stuff, the cursing, I cursed some kids, maybe. The tent door, tent door. What was that all about? And hearing my name. Generally, I just have no explanation. So yeah. Again, sorry if the audio's quiet, and sorry if I ramble. But that's the video. Bye. Goodbye.